My name is Janice. I'm a preparator at the Field Museum of Natural History, and I'm from Field Museum Workers United, AFSCME Council 31. I lead the replication shop. Usually, replicas are made if an object is too fragile to be displayed or travel. I feel like replication work is really important to a museum because it's part of the preservation process. There's like a lot of room for creativity. A fond memory I've had at the museum was when we were working on a recent show about death. I was working with an artist named Norma Rio Sierra. She was creating an ofrenda for the death exhibit. And so I got to make fake food, which is my favorite thing. I was so excited. That was like a dream come true.
Hi, my name is Greg Bailey. I'm an object conservator and I work at the Walters Art Museum here in Baltimore, Maryland. I and my colleagues at the museum care for the physical objects in the collection, which means we work with a lot of other folks around the museum to prevent deterioration of the collection, but also to address deterioration that has already happened. We have collections that span the globe all throughout human history for past 6,000 years, so it's quite a diversity of objects. Conservation in most museums kind of happens behind closed doors, and we really try and put our work out there in front of the public, and I think the Walters does a really good job of that, and my professional organization, the American Institute for Conservation, really advocates for the accessibility of conservation information as well. What I love most about conservation is that there are a lot of open-ended questions. So I feel like I learn something new every day. I get to see beautiful works of art. I interact with colleagues here at the museum and around the world to answer questions about works of art and develop kind of networks of information. And I think that's what I really love about this career.
I'm Joe Snyder. I work at the Wexner Center for the Arts. I'm part of Wexner Workers United. I'm the programs coordinator in the Learning and Public Practice department. The work that we do in our department is really about expanding who has access to the art, and not just in like a material access kind of way, but in like a belonging kind of way, in a sense of like, this art is for you and it's for me and it's for my neighbor. I love working with young people. A lot of kids aren't self-conscious about saying something like dumb or wrong about art, and they'll just say whatever. I really like the high school age. I think that they're very funny. There's something about, in particular, kids who are like gender nonconforming, and like I am also a gender nonconforming person, and I really appreciate like when we see each other and they can see, you know, this is a person who has a positive life and a workplace and is happy and is doing something that she loves. I do feel like it's something that I never really got to see, was somebody who was like a gender nonconforming or queer person, an adult that was like comfortable in their own skin in that way. One kid told me recently that my hair was so gender. And I'm like riding that high for the rest of my life, you know, because I'm like, a compliment from a teenager is always going to be like the best compliment you ever get, because they don't have to say it.
I'm Ed Carter. I am the documentary curator. I am with the Academy Foundation Workers United. I curate the documentary film collection in the film archive. I deal with documentaries. In contrast to a lot of mainstream Hollywood films, documentaries tend to be much more diverse. There's many more women filmmakers and filmmakers of color. I helped to find this film that really was never even released. It was made in the 80s, and it was a film called Cane River. It's an independent film that was made by all African-American crew and cast, and no one had ever really heard of it. We found the negative in a film lab that was closing. I kept doing more research, looked at the film. I talked to different people, and I tried to find out more about it, and the film is now considered like a classic of African-American filmmaking. It's basically changed the history of independent Black filmmaking in the United States. I feel honored that I have a small part in bringing that film back. I'm very happy to be a part of saving these films for future generations.
Hi, I'm Halcyone. I work as a visitor service assistant at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. I'm also vice president of AFSCME District Council 47, Local 397. Visitor services is one of the front lines of the museum, so we're directly interacting with the community every day. In my role as a visitor services assistant, I help visitors in the museum with their various needs, doing things like selling tickets, working coat check, wayfinding, or providing information. It's ultimately up to visitor services to make the museum a welcoming, inviting place that the community can truly call its own. My favorite part of my job is seeing visitors have a fulfilled experience, where they are able to get excited about their visit and the art. Hearing about people's experiences and being able to contribute to those experiences is both personally rewarding and a big part of what helps the museum serve the community. A fun fact about visitor services is that we get to see tons of different visitors, but we also get to know a lot of museum staff. Everyone walks in and out the same doors, so it's a great opportunity to build community within the museum as well as with the public.
Happy International Museum Day!
Happy International Museum Day from the Field Museum.
Happy National Museum Day.
Solidarity forever.